Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
there we
because
go.
you'll hear.
Yes,
I
we don't
did
want
that
echoes.
yesterday,
No
and
echoes.
well, we were in a chat with about 10 people. So I thought in my mind, I'm thinking, this is just a chat. This is not doable. I can't understand all these people because they're all talking at once. And then I kept hearing like things repeated. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not just a chat. I'm hearing everybody's conversation twice. But I looked at everybody else's faces and they all looked normal, like they weren't hearing what I was hearing. It was awful.
I had that happen to me too when I first got on there, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta close out YouTube." Oops.
Oh, and here's Ellie. Hi,
Hi.
Ellie. Oh, Ellie, your background always looks so inviting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It just looks
Yeah,
like I want
nice.
to be there. It's so peaceful looking.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been running around, getting like editing, taking care of kids, cleaning.
I
I'm
get
just
you.
like I'm a mess, so I
You
read it.
guys, this is for people right here that understand the pain of trying to live your life, eat a decent diet, talk about it on YouTube, edit it for YouTube, then go back and change things so that people actually watch it.
Right.
I mean, it's y'all, it can be painful. It's a challenge. People in my normal life, they don't understand.
But the thing is, you just start and then you just get better as you go. You learn more.
I know.
I mean, my first videos were terrible, and I figured
Yeah.
they would be, but I just started doing them. And then, I've got some people who like them now. And
Yeah.
I have to say that I enjoy doing lives the best. I just
Yeah,
really enjoy
same.
interacting with people and getting to know them and, supporting them that way.
Yes, exactly. Hold on one second. Yeah, I that's my favorite thing to do. Let's see, is just to get to know people and talk to people, in real time. And
Hmm.
it's just so much better than you know, just talking to myself, talking to the camera, and then waiting for people's responses and then replying. And by that point, you've kind of forgotten what you were even saying to begin with.
I had this little line that I use a lot when I'm doing a video, just filming one, and I'm thanking everybody for being here. And then I say, well, at least I hope you're here. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I love
Please don't
that.
make me talk to myself.
I can talk to myself and I do regularly,
Yep.
but yeah, it's probably better that I have somebody to talk to. Let's see here.
I
I
love
am
the kiss
actually
poster.
Yeah, that's actually, oops, this way. That's a
Yep.
blind. It's a blind,
Oh, is
a
it?
a
blind.
window. Yeah, it's a window blind.
Oh, cool.
That's neat.
And then let's see, on this side, I painted, that's Eddie. I
Mm-hmm.
painted him back in 1984.
There you go. So you're a
Yeah,
metal head.
Eddie, Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I
Oh,
took my
wow.
son to see Kiss on their End of the Road tour, and I saw them in the Millennium concert in Vancouver on New Year's.
Mhm. I just went with my son. It was a week ago. Well, it'll be 2 weeks ago this coming Monday. His company has box seats at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And so he
Mhm.
took me with him. They gave him 2 tickets to use in the box seats. And it was an amazing experience. And I was thankful I got to go because I had the illness the week before
Mm-hmm.
and was afraid I wouldn't get to. But while I was very sick for 4 days, when I started getting better, I mean, I just started getting better quickly. And now I don't have any symptoms at all. Nothing, no lingering cough or anything like that.
Hmm.
That's great.
So
So you love your hair metal.
yeah, I'm a metal girl. Kiss is, I guess technically hard rock, but I love bands like Judas Priest and I go like for Disturbed, Candlebox. I mean, just hard rock. slash metal stuff.
So
I
here's
just want
my
to say Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
oh,
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry
Happy to be
Christmas!
here.
It's that
I feel like
time
I
now.
need to
You
go
can
get a
put some
Santa
stuff
hat.
up. Yep.
So, Carrie, I'm always telling my boys, because my boys are musicians. I have 4 boys, and 3 of them are musicians, and they love rock and they love metal, especially. My oldest loves symphonic metal, which I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's my
It is
favorite.
very cool.
But yeah, he loves that. And so they play a lot of hard rock. And I told him, I said, rock is pretty much a thing of the past, unfortunately, especially heavy metal and hard rock here in the United States. Now, in other countries, it's different. But I told him, I said, if you guys would just make you a band and start doing some hard rock, you would have fans like that, because I think people want that again. They just, we're all still listening to stuff from, the 80s and 90s and 70s. And, I think we need to bring some hard rock back, or
Do they
just
ever
rock,
listen to folk
period,
metal? Do they ever listen to folk metal? It's like traditional. Like sometimes it's incorporated with bluegrass in the United States, but then in other
Oh,
countries, it's metal is incorporated with whatever their cultural style is. So, like, there's a Mongolian band called the Who, the HU, that plays heavy metal, and but they incorporate guitars plus their own native instruments into the music. And they did a version of Metallica's "Sad but True" that is just amazing.
I'm going to have to ask him about it. I wrote it down.
Okay,
So
yeah, it's
I'll
the
ask
Who. The
him, but
HU is that
okay.
particular band, but there are lots of groups out there, and you can find them on YouTube, and it's just fascinating to watch. But
Oh,
anyway, I know
awesome.
we're here about Dr. Fun.
Yes, Dr. Fun. Okay, so did everybody read the book besides Nicole? I know she didn't read the book.
Why you gotta single me out like that?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. If you did not read the book, it's
I've got
okay.
it on my Kindle.
I
My
have it
Kindle
on
app.
Kindle, and I also listened to the first 2 chapters 3 times. So, but
Oh,
I'm still that person that it's going to take a little bit of prompting for me to be like, oh yeah, I remember that part, because unfortunately I did not take as many notes as I would have liked to. And yeah, I'm just that person. So,
I
who
felt
wants to
like
start out?
I was just gonna say I felt like the first 2 chapters were setting you up with the
Yep.
Yeah.
mindset that things are not right.
Mhm.
How you go
You got that
about
right.
losing weight is incorrect.
Yeah.
And I thought I mean, do you want to start from like the beginning or just like say whatever we feel? Like I don't want to like jump around too much.
I don't care. We can.
Okay. I
I
thought it
mean,
was
this is a whole new world for me. So whatever you want to
yeah.
do.
I thought it was really interesting when they were bringing up the study about the twins and how they
Yeah.
were in like like basically they were saying like environmental factors play a large role in being obese, and they actually noticed that it doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the takeaway that it actually doesn't?
Yeah.
It's
That
more
actually
based
the
on your
genetics.
genes. Yeah. And so I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah. I always bring it back to like how it makes me feel and like the psychology of it all, because that's what I really enjoy. And being empathetic with people and treating people as a nurse, it makes me feel even more so than I have lately, that we are just not doing enough in the medical system. We're expecting people to make the right decision without enough information. We don't even have the information. There's no consensus on anything. And then we're expecting people to just, oh, eat less and move more. Like that's such a vague statement. And we're just throwing it out there. Meanwhile, most of us in the medical field, myself included, are obese or at least overweight. Some morbidly obese, um, unfortunately, and that's not to shame anyone. It's just to say that we don't have the answers. If some of us have them, we need to share it with the other ones. We're going by evidence-based medicine, And unfortunately, a lot of these nutritional studies, they're not so great because it's hard to do nutrition studies on real live people, and we're not rats. So,
Yeah.
I mean, last time I checked, I don't seem like a rat, but
Somebody might have called me one a time or two.
I've never been a rat.
Dirty rat.
I got a
Holy
question.
moly.
Yes.
Does
Oh,
anybody
Nicole
know
with the
that?
sound effects.
Does anybody know the history of intermittent fasting, where it actually came from?
Nowhere.
I would
Any idea?
I would assume that it's like biblical.
Religions.
It's
Do
from
it.
the yogis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they knew about treating cancer thousands of years ago by spacing their meal out. So the actual yoga diet or yogi diet was actually one meal in the morning and one meal at night with a 12-hour interval.
Oh, wow.
So it actually goes back probably a few thousand years. So really, it's nothing new.
The way I think of it, and I think that's really interesting, is that when we were hunters and gatherers, I mean, you didn't get food every day probably. You were probably hunting for several days until you could get a kill or you could, find some like roots or berries or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like that is like a natural way of intermittent fasting. Right? I mean,
Exactly.
just without even like a conscious thought of it, but I think that's really interesting that they decided to do the 12 hour intervals. That's really interesting. So they were probably thinking like eating like half of the day, without food, and then it just would that 12-hour fast include sleeping, or was that consciously like during the day? Do you know?
No, that's just throughout the day. I have no idea if they were napping or not, but there's an Indian mystic by the name of Sadhguru actually goes quite in depth in it. So, it's we got to think out of the box a little bit and look at different areas of where you can gather information from, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, let's see, what was I going to say? One of the most fascinating parts of the book to me was, well, it was along that lines, and I'm like, hold on, I've drawn a blank now. Keep talking because
Yeah, we'll come back to.
it'll come back to me. It's like gone.
Just flip to here. Let me just flip to the book. I came prepared. I did not take notes because
Oh, okay. I
I
know what it
was.
was.
Oh, go ahead.
It was along the lines of what he was saying, as far as people in history. Um, they would go for long periods of time fasting, and it's nobody's natural thing to be overweight, right? But he said that even people who were runners, who had like 5 to 11% body fat, could sustain themselves for 1 month without eating. Now, what does that say to you guys? I mean, I know I got a lot more than 11% body fat, so it almost makes me think that like our idea of the 3 meals a day thing, and this is kind of aside from the book, this wasn't this part,
Mhm.
I'm just adding on, but the 3 meals a day thing, like, wow, that seems like really overkill when you think about our ancestors and how much work they had to do to actually procure the food, and then the cooking and the eating, and there was so much work around just basic living, and then all of the effort that went into that. So the energy expenditure, it's wow. I mean, it's almost like we need to find a totally different way to live in modern society. And it can't involve 3 meals a day for us to be healthy, you know, even with the ideal food, whatever that is.
I
I
don't know.
guess it
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess it depends why you're feeling your body, right? Depends what your exercise level is. Like, what are you actually doing, right?
Yeah.
I was watching his video clip today about about exercise and things like that. When I was having a chat with my friend Nathan, we met up Thursday. We're talking about how we used to eat and train years ago, and the difference the way people were viewing their nutrition, but yet they're going backwards the way it was like the golden era bodybuilders. Going back to drinking like unprocessed milk for the fat and the protein, the casein content, dropping your carbs to lean out, getting enough fat and actual protein to actually do what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
When would you like? What time period would you say that was like how people were eating if they wanted to lose weight? Is that like 50s, 60s, earlier, later?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, Steve Reeves was one of the original Hercules, right? He's probably the last actual real drug-free bodybuilder. I mean, there's been some, certain people are genetic freaks. They might have an issue with myostatin, which allows them to gain mass and a lean body, low fat content, right? But there's a lot of we can learn from other sources. Like I was watching the Mr. Olympia yesterday and today, and these guys are just absolute freaks now on how they actually manipulate their diet. With things like insulin, the PEDs, the actual volume of food that they need to consume to carry that type of mass, and what they actually do with the carbohydrates for it to allow as an entry point into the muscular structure, right? It's quite the science, and I think there's a lot to learn from that. Also, is like what you can build up, you can break down, and just the removal of the carbs is it's just where the fat goes, and watch your timing.
Okay, so one big takeaway also for me was that I had no clue that in the 50s, they knew that sugar was basically the bad guy. They knew that excess carbs and excess sugar was causing us to be overweight. And somehow, well, actually, I know how because I listened to the book and he told about how there was a politician. Let's see here. What was his name? Let's see. It actually sounded like
Like
a
during the
politician.
McGovern hearings.
Yeah, it's McGovern. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he is the one that basically brought about or that introduced us to, he made this the common practice. And I had no idea. I'd never even heard that before that I recall. But that if you ask anybody's grandparents, and I assume he means people his age grandparents, so that would be probably close to my age too. Our grandparents knew that,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, if you eat too much sugar, it'll rot your teeth out. If you eat too much sugar, you'll get fat. But where did we lose that along the way? It's McGovern basically as
Well,
a
if you recall,
politician.
in movies in the 70s and 80s even, which I'm probably a little older than you. I'm 57, but I remember seeing that the diet plate, like, if somebody was on a diet in a movie or a TV show, it would be cottage cheese, hamburger patty or two, and then lettuce and a tomato. And that would be like the diet plate. And a lot of restaurants served that. So that
Oh,
was just your diet. That was the diet plate back then. Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen these changes. I was on the tail end of when, the old way was disappearing and the new way came in.
yeah.
like for example, when I had gestational diabetes, they did not give the advice that they give today. They told me to stay away from all the white foods, bread, sugar, potatoes. And at that point, I was like, what's there left to eat? Because I didn't realize those things were carbohydrates. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
sugar was. But anyway, that's about. But my point is, I know because I've seen it. It hasn't always been that way, and I remember as things changed. So it's
Yeah,
really
it
creepy, and it's disconcerting how it happened because there's a lot to that McGovern hearing. And oh, let's see, Nina Teicholz goes into that in her book, and I believe Gary Taubes does in his. There are some that go into it in more depth than Dr. Fung did. I mean, I understand he was just giving a synopsis, but if you really want
yeah.
more information about it, and so does Tom Naughton. He did all the Fathead movie and stuff, and he has a video about that too. Yeah, very interesting, and it'll piss you off too.
So who wants to kind of um, go through that real quick with us? Just introduce everybody to the McGovern, what McGovern said and what he did. I can find it in the book here and look at it. And
Yeah, I mean, basically what he did was he told there were two groups of scientists, and actually in 1977 they didn't agree. Even then, they were arguing over this. And he just basically said, poop or get off the pot. Y'all just need to come to a consensus. And then they didn't. And he said, they were still arguing about it. And he just was like, we're going this way with it. And it was like a flip of a coin, and they just picked the wrong side. And the person who actually outlined the guidelines was vegetarian. So there was
is that
no,
McGovern?
no, it wasn't McGovern. He might have been a vegetarian, but it was not McGovern who actually wrote it was somebody else. There's a lot of depth, a lot going on with
Yeah.
that. And the pyramid was changed several times. There was a woman who actually had designed the pyramid, and initially there were a lot less carbohydrates on it, and it somehow morphed into what it became.
Lobbying. So
Yeah.
it's changed every 5 years. The nutritional committee, whatever the geniuses meet every 5 years, and that's why it's changed so often. It's not for health. It's sugar is the biggest lobbyist on the hill, but it's set to every 5 years they meet, they reconvene, and then they talk about the food. My plate now, the food guide. But that's why it changes every few years, because it's supposed to be every 5 years. This last change to my plate, I think there was a delay. It was actually longer than 5 years. But yeah, it's all lobbying. It's all money, and it's all agriculture, because they're the big spenders. And that's why you've seen the food pyramid, or my plate, whatever you want to call it, change so much. To where it's like meat is like the smallest fraction, whereas in the 70s it was 70s and prior, it was it made up the base of the pyramid. Now it's grains and sugar. But that's why it's all run by the government, and every 5 years they have an opportunity to lobby the increasing of their products and all that stuff. So that's just a bit of me geeking out a little bit on why it's
Yep,
changed every 5 years.
that's true, and it
So
does. But in the beginning, though, like even when they first did the food pyramid, there was a woman who originally like put it together, and somebody got a hold of it before it was like actually released out and had changed it. So it was already changed in the beginning from the original intent. So that the whole science wasn't settled at all, and but this is a fascinating book. I got this at the Goodwill. I love old books. This is from 1968, and there's information about that stuff in here. And the argument was very well alive, where it was talking about saturated fat versus sugar, and it has information about that. And I've done a couple of videos about some of that stuff, but it's fascinating reading when you get into it. So they all act like the science is settled. It never was, and it still isn't.
I think it's fascinating just how far back it goes. I'm looking at this right now. I went ahead and bought the Kindle version so that I
Mm-hmm.
could kind of have a reference as we're talking. But the whole calories in, calories out model and how that came about. But prior to that, it says, let's see here, this guy, Jean Anthelme Brillat Severin, I probably butchered the heck out of that. 1755 to 1826 was when he lived, and he wrote a book called The Physiology of Taste in 1825, where he wrote the second of the chief causes of obesity is the floury and starchy substances which can make the prime ingredients of his daily nourishment. So in the 1800s, that was the early 1800s,
Yes.
we had information that the floury and starchy substances, aka what converts to sugar very easily in our bodies, was causing people to be overweight. And there wasn't an epidemic at that point. There were just a few people here and there that were getting fat, um, and that was way, way, way before any of this problem with us. And then several decades later, William Banting, who lived from 1796 to 1878, we have all heard of the Banting diet.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually an English undertaker. And I found that fascinating that it took an undertaker who not only deals with the patients, but sees their bodies, sees why they died, what they died of, comorbidities. Like he's putting the whole picture together, and he's seeing people at literally the worst stage of their life and in their death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he wrote a pamphlet called Letter on Corpulence addressed to the public, which is actually considered the world's first diet book. And in his book, he recommended low carb, and he had used it on himself. And he had gotten from 202 pounds at 5 feet 5 inches, I think. Um, and he had lost, quite a bit of weight. Um, it just amazes me that like we had all this information, and then we're pretending like we don't know, like just because we don't have the big studies and stuff. Oh well, we don't know. I mean, just basic generalizations is all we give people when they come to the doctor. It just infuriates me. It makes me so just, I mean, it just enrages me if I think about it enough, how I have to participate in a system where if I told people knowledge that's been around since the 1800s at least, that if they eat less carbs, they'll probably be able to lose weight, that will be something that might risk my job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could very well, because they could say that's not evidence based.
Yeah, and what
It's
they're
just,
telling isn't
oh,
evidence based either. But
they're not telling anything. That's the problem,
mm-mm.
is most of the time, in the medical field, I don't see anybody talking about diet. They might say eat less, move more, or eat less calories, or, eat more fruits and vegetables or
Yeah,
whatnot. But if you come in for, like, say something as simple as GERD, I had just unrelenting GERD. I had a big lump in my throat. I was miserable. I went into the doctor and I begged. I looked at this doctor and I'm like, look, I'm not crazy. I am like, because they make you feel crazy, first of
yeah,
all. I'm like, I am one of you. Please help me. And I mean, I was literally crying over GERD, I mean,
It's very
it's crazy.
uncomfortable.
And
I
then
don't blame you.
exactly. And then what they told me was, well, maybe we'll have to do an EGD on you. Take these pills. I'm like, why do people not get it? Why do we not get it? Why are we so okay with just being like, oh, let's just treat the symptoms, let's just get rid of those symptoms and then you'll be okay, it's such a disconnect from reality.
They're not even treating the symptoms though. So you mentioned GERD. GERD is huge in the aging population, among other things. And I've heard people say decrease your protein consumption because of kidney failure and all these other things. So it's just bad information. And you mentioned William Banting. He's one of the early 1800s people that a couple people recommended I cover for the pioneers of a meat-based
Mhm.
diet. And this goes back to even the 1700s. I've seen in covering a lot of these people, and it's from a soldier perspective. A lot of what I found, like Salisbury steak, is a popular one,
Mhm.
but it's not the Salisbury steak we have today with the gravy and the mashed potatoes and all that.
No.
It's literally just meat, like mutton. But they they prescribed, well, I say prescribed loosely, but they gave soldiers meat for their digestive issues. They had like explosive diarrhea and all sorts of issues during war, the
Yeah.
Civil War and those things, and they gave them meat to solve those issues. So, I mean, this is a very loaded conversation when you're talking diet, because it started out as health in the beginning, because we didn't have these issues that we have today. But then it turned in the 1800s as well, to heavily based and heavily rooted in religion. And that is who are controlling our guidelines. So doctors, because I've seen this in my clients, and I have a client who's a medical something assistant or something, and their doctors, literally, if someone comes in and says I have XYZ symptom or I have XYZ issues, they have printouts for
Mhm.
every single federally recommended way of eating, the diabetic diet, the whatever, and they just give them a piece of paper and say, follow this. So I have a client who has all sorts of issues, and she was given 3 different recommendations from doctors based on each specialist she saw on her systems. And she
Mm.
called me freaking out because she didn't know what to do. She has SIBO, and then she has other things. So it's a dumpster fire of a thing, but
Yeah.
it's turned into religion. So this is a very loaded topic that that is very, very, very rooted in many, many things that's not health. So yeah, so this conversation can go very many different ways, but as it stands now,
Mhm.
it's religion controlling our dietary guidelines and what we put into our bodies, and what these doctors are prescribing their patients, that are causing more and more issues. So it's a number of things that are affecting it. But I just want to interject because you mentioned GERD, and I know, I worked with seniors for a good 8 months of this year, and having people, medical professionals, recommend fiber because they have a lot of GI issues once you get of that age. And they're like, if you can't take in fiber, let's give them liquid fiber. So it's all about the fiber, which is exasperating the issues. So it's a huge problem that we're facing. That's very multifaceted, um, stemming
And
from
I
very
think
many different root sources.
one of the problems is we don't ever give dietary advice until people have a problem. Like when my children go into their doctor asks them, "How much are you eating? What kind of foods are you eating? How many cups of milk are you drinking a day? Are you getting enough sleep?" All these questions. But yet in my yearly visits, if I just look at them and say, "I'm fine, 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 everything's fine," they don't ask me any of that stuff. They don't say, "What types of food are you eating? Are you having any problems with your digestion?" They don't ask any of that stuff. They do their little labs. They, basically look at me and ask me, "Have I fallen lately?" And just all those ridiculous questions that we have to make sure we check all the boxes, for all of these um, just just things that are required by the government, essentially by Medicare. But yet we're not really saying, what we're not really giving recommendations on a type of diet. And then if they did give recommendations, like Nicole said, it would basically come back to something that is based in a religious um, sector, which is, the Seventh Day Adventists that have you know, highly influenced our nutritional guidelines. Um, but yeah, it's just a big old mess, and I know there's no simple solution to it. But man, we need something. We need some real changes. in the way that medicine is practiced, and the way doctors and nurses give advice, because I don't like participating in that. I want something better.
I think that's great. When I was morbidly obese, I was 240 pounds and I was miserable. And I went to my doctor and I was like, what do I do? What can I do? Like, I'm so, like, I've tried working out, I've tried dieting, I've tried this and this and this. And the guy just looked at me with his eyes like glossed over, basically. He pulled out his phone, he got my fitness pal, and he showed me his logs. He goes, okay, every day before I eat something, I put in the calories and I type it in. See, here's what I eat. And it's like, see, I ate salad. I ate this and this and this. And I was just like, oh my God. I tried doing my fitness pal, but it wasn't until I eventually found, keto and then later carnivore that really helped, because I think for me personally, the issue was more in emotional eating. And because I was just so depressed and sick, I just relied on food. And I've never gone to the doctor and they've ever asked me like what I'm eating. I think the closest you get is when you fill out the paper when you're going into the office and they ask you if you smoke or drink. like it's like the closest. There's no question whatsoever about nutrition. So I agree with you. It's pretty infuriating.
Okay, so everybody, real quick, Arlene has asked what everybody's channel names are. If you'll change your name on the screen, like I did, to reflect what your channel name is, what you're at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have your name and then at whatever, and that'll be your channel name. Also, Arlene, we will put everybody's links at the end.
I changed mine
in the chat.
How do you do that? I'm sorry, I must be really
Okay.
dense today.
Click on
Carrie,
your photo.
tell me what yours is, Carrie, and I'll change it for you.
Okay.
It's at what?
My meat omorphosis, all one word. MEATOMORPHOSIS.
Okay. Is that right?
I don't see it on the screen. Am I supposed to have seen it?
You'll see it beside the person's name. Bubba, yours is at
Robert _ Bubba _ Baker.
Okay. All right, y'all see it now?
It looks like it's right, but I can't see all of mine because I guess it's so long. I mean, I'm looking on the minimized screen. I'm not sure where to look at it anywhere else.
Oh, people can't see our names displayed when there's a comment on the screen. So once a comment's off the screen, our names will be displayed. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here.
Nicole coming in with those facts. Just throw it down.
So there we go.
Yeah, look at that.
Yes.
Now you can see everybody's stuff here.
Carrie, you and I, we have such long names. Who wins? Oh, Bubba, yours is long too.
Yeah, it's really long. No, I don't.
Because I was counting mine the other day and I was like, with the @ symbol, that's 20 characters. Like, why did I pick such a long name?
Okay,
I know, and one day I was trying to give mine and I said, look, it's worth the effort, okay?
Okay, I did want us to answer this question from Dale Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Is being overweight always bad?
I don't think it's normal for us to be overweight. I think the word overweight is used pretty frequently to describe being obese and morbidly obese also, because it's like more polite. So I don't know necessarily, like, if you really think overweight, what is that, like 10, 15 pounds over the recommended like BMI, right? Like that's kind of like what overweight means. Right? Am I thinking right?
Yeah. So I want to geek out a little bit.
And then it goes along with this too. I went ahead and posted the second comment because it all goes together. Like if we could just answer based on both of those.
Yeah, they touch on that in the book actually, but Nicole, do it. Do it.
No, it's gonna be short. Trust me. But no, the BMI. Okay, first off, the BMI is not a good scale to go off
No,
of.
it's not.
That's terrible. So I would just throw that in the trash along with your scale, in my opinion. But when it comes to being overweight, the term overweight and how we see body weight has been so skewed, because what has happened is we have men who weren't the way they are today, like supposed to be like the ideal look is very muscular, very lean, all that stuff. And the same with women. Women are the the perfect ideal woman is supposed to be very lean, very skinny, like Betty Boop, and all that, right? But when you really think about it, Marilyn Monroe, right? She was actually the ideal woman, because what happens is, because our idea of what is skinny, overweight, obese, and all these things, and how we're supposed to look is so far off from what is actually natural. And I say that because the way women are depicted, being a woman, I'm going to pick on women. The way women are depicted is the Betty Boop, right? The the big chest, the tiny ass waist, and just like it's so unnatural. And a lot of women lose their menstrual cycle, or are close to losing their menstrual cycle. Like, our hormones tank even more than what's natural. Being we women need a healthy amount of body fat. Being extremely skinny, especially for women, is not healthy at all. Women need to look like more like a Marilyn Monroe naturally to be healthy, to have balanced hormones and all that. So it's very unnatural the way we now see health and body image. And the same with men. It's not good for men to carry around that much muscle and be lean all the time either. It's a stress on the system. So I just want to put that in perspective as we answer this question, because the way we view weight and health is not, in my opinion, it's not biologically normal or natural. But yeah, and then that goes genetics as well. So, you know, people naturally have a certain body composition. So I can never be like the hourglass because I have wide hips. I'm more like that. So like genetically, yes, you're genetically limited as far as how skinny you can be without being in the hospital and how much muscle you can put on. But um what looks healthy and what looks natural is not a true depiction of how it's supposed to be naturally.
Mhm.
Do you want a
Yeah.
guy's opinion?
Go
Sure.
for it.
It kind of reminds me of a story. A couple years ago, and I guess this all depends if you're doing online dating or not, right? But anyways, I go on this dating site, and this lady starts messaging me, and I'm a big guy, and we start talking on the phone, and she says, "Oh," she says, "Are you wondering why I started sending you messages, and I want to meet you?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Why?" She says, "I'm kind of into this Chris Farley thing," she says to me. And I was talking to my buddy Doug, and he's the president of one of the motorcycle clubs, and he says, "Robbie," he says, "you got yourself a chubby chaser." It's not really that funny, but
Oh, that's
it's
funny.
kind of funny. But
Everybody
it's
has
hard.
their type, right? That they like.
Everybody's got a
Everybody has their
type.
type. I don't know. Maybe I guess it depends if you're either on Facebook dating or Tinder or whatever the hell it is, right? But no, it's not really healthy to be overweight because your engine is pumping more blood out and it wears out quicker, right? So um, it kind of is what it is. But I think it really comes down to, I don't know, thing that keeps popping in my mind is I know who I am and I know where I'm at and I know what's not healthy. So I have to put myself in the mind frame that I'm not going to allow, the food pyramid or the government or anything take control over my life or and how I am. It's really up to me. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves, because if we don't, then it's just like going to the doctor's office. People just want to be told, right? They don't have a mind of their own, right? So where does the responsibility begin and stop, right? So if I want to go back to the chubby chaser thing, but if I want to have a better quality person in my life than that, then I got to do something at least about my appearance realistically to attract a better quality person. I mean, it's people are very judgmental and very superficial, right? So it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, from my
But
understanding, I think a lot of it comes down to like if you want to just talk about like attraction between people, I think it's like you want to know if that person is healthy enough to have a baby with. Like we don't
mhm.
think like a lot of as you're growing up, you're not thinking, okay, I want this person will have healthy babies with me. But it's just like you can like sometimes you'll when you're younger you'll date somebody and they're like, oh, they're really nice, but I'm just not like into them. Feel like they're a better friend. It's like, well, there might be something like genetically that's not going to align, even though you get along really well. And like that kind of happened to me. I had a guy friend, and we got along great, and I loved him to death, but there just wasn't, and it's not like he wasn't attractive, like it just wasn't there. And for me, and then when I met my husband, it was like, oh, that's the one. Like, so I just think I don't know. And
So, I was wanting to bring like a part of the book
oh
into
yeah,
this.
oh yeah, the book. This is a book
You know the
club.
book.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I'm just kidding. But this kind of plays into it. Okay, first of all, um, I think there is great variation with relation to genetics as far as like what could be considered healthy. And I think that some people, even though they're skinny, they're not necessarily healthier than a person who has a little bit of excess weight. But then we're like I tend to talk more about like obesity, like when I'm thinking of the health implications. That's when you really start to see most of the health implications. But what it says in the book is that on simple reflection, oh, well, it says prior to puberty, boys and girls average the same body fat percentage. After
Mhm.
puberty, women on average carry close to 50% more body fat than men. This change occurs despite the fact that men consume more calories on average than women. Why is this true? What is the ultimate cause? It has nothing to do with personal choices. It's not a character defect, which in our society we tend to look at people in more of a moralistic standard, like, oh, they're, just lazy, they're, sinners, they're they're gluttons, they're greedy, but after, let's see here, women are not more gluttonous or lazier than men. The hormonal cocktail that differentiates men and women must make it more likely that women will accumulate excess calories as fat as opposed to burning them off. And this goes all into the being able to sustain life inside your body, bearing a child and whatnot. Um, but yeah, this is it's just fascinating to me that we look at it in such a moralistic way, and especially those those in society who are able to remain skinny when sometimes people are too skinny and they need to gain weight and they're not able to gain weight. But we don't look at them and say, oh, you have a moral failing. I just think that needs to change.
I kind of like not having any morals. That's got its advantages sometimes, I tell you. At least I got a laugh there. So
Are there any more?
Anybody else?
You don't have any questions in the chat?
Did did anybody else? Carrie, did you want to add to that any?
I think you all covered that pretty well. Just the just the fact that he's already starting to preface his like premise is by saying that the hormones, there are different hormones and different processes in between male and female, and so hormones cause things to happen. So he's like getting ready to move on into more detail about that.
Yeah, they cause things to happen, but also your diet
Yep.
affects your hormones. And the reason I said women naturally need to have more body fat is because it will affect your menstrual cycle, your ability to birth a child, like because of our hormones. So we need that extra body fat to support our hormonal fluctuations and balance. And a lot of women, when they go too low, they do have trouble conceiving.
Hmm.
There's a higher percentage of women who struggle to conceive children than ever before currently, because of, yes, diet, but also because of this idea that we have to look a certain way, and we're going too far on the weight loss and being like too skinny, as Kim said, that we're not properly supporting our hormonal balance. And I always pick on women because we are more hormonal, and we do have the cycle, and we have things that men don't have that affect us more greatly. If men, you know, lose too much weight, they're not going to have anything affected as much as women. Like, we will lose our menstrual cycle, we won't be able to conceive children. Like, we just have more going on that isn't talked about, and that most women just aren't educated on.
And also, I just want to interject that I've seen a lot lately. Even some of the more prominent doctors online will talk about, how, oh, well, you're all human beings. You should all eat the same type of food. And while that's true, women and men hormonally are a lot different, and we don't. If I ate exactly the same thing as my husband, we'll end up with two different results. It's not that cut and dry for women, unfortunately. And I think that we need in the low carb community, we need to realize that a little bit more. I don't know what the answer is. I'm doing um, my little tests on myself right now, my little N of ones, to see what
I'm
works
on.
best for me personally. But I think as
I am
women,
on
we
it.
almost need to have our own little
I'm
community where we kind of trade information about, what have you found as far as, this type of food, or higher fat, lower fat, a little bit of higher carb, lower carb, whatever. I think for me, I'll always be low carb. Like, I will never in my lifetime be a big sugar eater. But I don't know for a fact that carnivore is um, where it's at as far as like long term for me. It's given me a good jump start. It's been a great elimination diet. It has actually helped me eliminate things down to such a small degree that I could find that dairy, of all things, was a huge problem for me. Um, but it's we probably need to start. Y'all help me brainstorm, ladies. We need to start our
And Russ
own
and
little low
and
carb.
Bubba, you
Yeah.
can come along, Bubba.
I mean, you can
Well,
you can watch, but
I was
like I
I
think
was
we need
thinking
to all
about
have
putting
a
that
place where we
operation.
trade information, and so we're not having to go from one site to the or one page to the next. We all need to come together and have like a women's like symposium where we share what our little N of ones have revealed, and we can trade it about and whatnot.
Yeah, that would be great. That's kind of like and just like the starting of it. So that's why I started Lioness Lifestyle Live, the live stream with Lindsay Alexis and Meeting Wellness, because
Uh-huh.
we felt like there wasn't a space for women on YouTube specifically who are meat based eaters. We talked to low carb all the way up to carnivore, and everyone in between. And we just want to get their story and focus on what they're passionate about. And I think it would be great if we could take like that's great. Put that to the side. But then also, like you said, maybe we could start like a little Facebook group or something like that. So
Yeah.
or whatever it is, like, so that we can all say, like, for me, for instance, like I'm doing carnivore. It's been almost 6 months, and I'm noticing when I eat eggs, like my rosacea flares up, and like
Oh,
that could be some, like, that's a
yeah.
carnivore food that should be fine. But for me, I'm noticing if I eat like eggs every day, my skin gets worse. If I have it every a couple of times a week, it's not as bad. If I leave it out completely, it gets much better. So it depends
Yeah.
on my budget. Like if I have to eat eggs, I'm gonna have to eat the eggs and let the skin, you know what I mean? So that could be really fun.
Yeah, and men and I mean, listen, everyone's different. Is what I was trying to say. As far as the little experience that you have to do on yourself and whatnot. And I also run two pretty big Facebook groups that are unrelated to carnivore, so I might consider taking on a third. They're not that hard to get up and get running. They're pretty,
Yeah, that'd be fun. I
pretty automated once you get it up and running.
I would definitely, if you want to do that, I'll get a Facebook account because I got rid of my personal one like several years ago because there's just the people just like
It's too
Yeah.
ugly out there. The only thing I do is YouTube, and that's just to basically watch video. And it's social media, but it's not.
Yeah.
No, I do have a Instagram account, which is in its infancy, but those are the only two things I have. I never had a Twitter account, and I got out of Facebook 3
Oh.
years ago because it just got, you would even like take stuff, like you would unfollow or just whatever, and stuff still somehow ended up in the middle of your feed, and you're like, I thought I eliminated all this crap.
I
Or here,
know.
we suggest this for you. And it's just something that would totally piss you off. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
It's like, here, be friends with your ex-husband. No, thank
Yes.
you. I'm
No,
very
thank
aware that
you.
he's out there.
Right. I mean, it's just, yeah, it wasn't worth it, And you know what? I didn't have any Facebook withdrawal symptoms either. I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, I can't stay off. I want to know what's going on. I was like, too much stupidity and drama out there. I don't want to know.
I don't like it because it hinders you from like actually talking to your friends and family because they'll be like, well, I posted on Facebook. It's like,
Yeah.
well, why don't you just call me?
Yeah. And I don't even do like Instagram that much. I have an account, but I literally, the only reason I ever go over to Instagram is to see if Bubba has sent me any messages.
Oh, that makes sense because I had messaged you. I was like, I got the book. So
I
now
don't
I
even
know.
go over there at all.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty much strictly YouTube or like Facebook Messenger I'll use just because it's easy.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's good
I
to know
almost
if I
never
need
go
to
over there. And
contact
I don't get notifications. I have yet to be able to figure out how to get the Instagram notifications to show up. I've tried to set it and I don't know. It's just, I have to actually go into the app to see that somebody's messaged me. So
Maybe we should start a Chubby Chaser Facebook meetup thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, there we go.
Woo!
I don't know.
Nicole, you got any sound effects for that?
Oh, that's funny.
Holy moly.
We're gonna say let's get Robert Bubba Baker hitched with somebody. Facebook.
Let's start
Yeah,
with the chat. Anyone in the chat? Any single ladies? Any
Yeah.
single ladies?
Ah, the single ladies. Ah, the single ladies.
But I think I might even be older than Carrie. I'm not sure. I'm 57 too.
Carrie, go.
March 1.
Oh, September 22nd.
You
Carrie's
baby.
got you.
Oh,
She does.
You're just a little baby.
Yeah.
I know I'm the baby.
She's the baby.
Yeah, I guess if we started a Chubby Chaser.
Baby, what was that in?
Not the mama. Not the
Not the
mama.
Yeah,
mama.
not the
that was
mama.
That was
in Land Before
dinosaurs.
Time or
That's
Dinosaurs.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The baby would say, not the mama. That's
Not
what
the
it
mama.
was.
Not the mama.
Not
I
the
used to have
mama.
this little thing that said, "Not the mama. I'm
Yeah.
the baby, not the mama."
That's great.
Do you want me to tell you any more funny stories?
Do they have to do with all the
Sure.
single ladies?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't. Yeah, go ahead.
here's a funny one. When I first went out on my own a few years ago, I went on this date. And so I'm on this date. What do you think
Sean.
this is?
God,
What-
don't
what-
encourage it.
this-
Sorry, Bubba.
I was asked.
All right, Daddy Butter.
I
Daddy
couldn't
Butter.
Oh,
Daddy
yeah.
Butter. Carrie has something planned for you. I'm not going to give it away, but it's pretty badass.
Did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
Sorry,
You ready
Bubba.
for the story?
You may commence. My bad.
Yes, go ahead.
What was the first question I was asked on the first date as soon as I was on my own?
Do you have
What
health
time?
insurance?
I was asked if it still worked. Honest to God.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah, no.
God. It's
Well,
hit
yeah,
the
man, I'll
rating.
take all
We're
that
going to have to
Viagra.
change the rating on this, Bubba.
And
This is a
and
book club.
I was kind of speechless, and I said, "Oh,
It's a valid question.
yeah." I said, "Well, if it doesn't, I'll just blow on my thumb and pop it out." I mean, I didn't know what else to say.
I don't have a sound effect for that.
You need to think of one quick. Think of one quick.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we got it. G. We got it. G again. We got the rating
Okay.
down.
We got it back to G. Good.
I'm here.
Ellie-
I'm here
Ellie's
for the
like
humor
sweating over
content.
there.
Whew.
Jonathan
much-
is only here for the education, so he's
As
probably
always.
left the building at this point.
He's chasing Marilyn Monroe. He's trying to get a buff.
All right. So, anybody want to add anything else about the book that has sparked any kind of something or another in them?
I thought it was interesting how he brought up like the sins of gluttony and sloth, because
Mhm.
like immediately it just reminded me of like how I used to live. I was like, that was me. It's just, I don't know. I didn't have anything else.
You mean like being judgmental of other people?
No, just having
Or
just
being that way.
committing the sins of
Oh,
being.
But do you see how that ties in with the Seventh Dayers?
Yeah.
Because that would be their reasoning that this
Mhm.
doesn't work for you, is because you ate too much, you were
Yeah.
gluttonous, you were lazy, you were a sloth. You know, I could see how that would tie in very easily, where it would be your own fault if this doesn't work for you.
and the fact that he said that we both feel sorry for people who are obese, and at the same
Mhm.
time we hate them,
Mhm.
like as a society. It's like how can those two things exist together? You know, it's
Well, we've been
it's
taught that.
disturbing.
We've been taught that it's their
Mhm.
fault, and it's not. And you know what? I've actually pretty much always known it wasn't. Because like even as an
Yeah,
adult
same.
and stuff, like I had the crappiest diet you could imagine. I mean,
Mhm.
I didn't eat that great of a diet growing up. Now, we did not have most of the junk food and stuff that my mother wouldn't allow junk food in the house, but like in my late
I'll be right
teens and 20s, man, my diet was terrible.
Yeah, mine
And
too.
I
I hate
was
to
skinny.
interrupt. Russ's backstage. He sent a message.
Oh, I don't see him. Oh, he was hiding. I had to scroll. Okay.
Oh,
Hi,
all right, continue,
Russ.
Hi,
Carrie.
Russ.
Now listen. I am way too big to hide, so you know that is not. Where am I going to
You
hide?
were down. You were hiding underneath my my bar at the bottom that says mute, stop cam settings, all that stuff.
No.
He was hiding
Welcome,
behind the
Russ.
bar. Russ.
No. I was just
Hiding behind the
enjoying
bar.
enjoying everything, listening to everybody. I love the family. Anytime we get a chance to hang out with the family, and no, I just figured, hey, listen, that you leave the door open, there's no telling what kind of stray might just wander in.
That's right.
So I saw.
Hey, we always welcome strays, and
Yes, you have a history of picking up strays by the side of the road.
I do.
Yeah, we'll love you. We'll
So
love
yes,
you.
I gotta hang out with my girls and of course my man
and Bubba.
Bubba. Yes, he's
Girls and Bubba.
please don't show
It
us your
sounds like a
credentials,
bad
Bubba. We don't need to.
sitcom.
Yeah, we don't need to see the credentials, brother. We know you are not a girl. But I just
Okay,
talking about
go
some
ahead.
key points tonight, and I
Mhm.
I don't want to interrupt. I'm a guest. Don't
You're
want to
good.
disturb the flow, but
Hi, Russ.
want to pop in and say, hey, good to see everybody. I think I just saw. I think I was on with uh Carrie. Were you in John's stream a couple days ago?
Yep.
I can't remember.
They
All the
blend
weed,
together, don't they? But it's all
all the
fun.
weed. Yes, all the weed I smoked just messed my mind up.
Yeah, that and hiding behind them bars. No telling what you're
Yeah,
doing back
yeah.
there.
Actually, I don't smoke. Listen, I smoked one joint in 1985. That is the only marijuana I've ever had in my life. So, you know, that's that is the truth. But I do think. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
The butter had a comment here.
Sorry.
The ladies will be after my butter.
Oh Lord.
Actually, they just might once
They-
No,
once
they
Mary
might.
figures it out and finishes it up.
Okay, so bringing us back around to the book. So I feel like we've gotten to chapter 2. Okay, so chapter 2. I'm just going to read the headings, and that way maybe it'll like spark something in your mind. But it was about inheriting obesity, nature versus nurture, the thrifty. Hold on. The thrifty gene hypothesis, which ironically does not mean that you like to save money. Um, let's see here. What
I love
else?
your
And
story.
that was pretty much it. That was a short chapter.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's, I mean, I guess we covered a lot of that, but the fact that children, childhood obesity is associated with a 200% to 400% increased risk of adult obesity is mind blowing.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier, Carrie, I have always known. I think inherently we know a lot of things to be true, and we don't know why we know them, but it just feels right. But like, I grew up very similar to my best friend who lived next door, and she was overweight as a child, and I was very skinny. Okay,
Mhm.
strictly genetics right there. Okay. Um, I did not become overweight until probably my 30s, whereas she just struggled her whole entire life. And it just, once it started, it in childhood, it just carried on. And so, anybody want to take that and run with it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say because I was always very, very thin, and my weight would fluctuate by a few pounds, but not very much. And so people would say, "Oh, you must really work out. You must not eat a thing." They would just make all these
Yeah.
comments to me.
And those are ugly too comments, like just as well as making
Yeah.
comments to an obese person, making comments to a super skinny person like, "Oh, you need to eat cheeseburger," like, you know.
Yeah, but a lot of times, like especially in later years, like just at work and stuff, though, people would say it in a way that's like, "Oh, you're so disciplined." Like they were giving it to me as praise.
Yeah.
And then when I started eating low carb in 2015, for example, well, you don't need to eat that way. You don't need to lose any weight. You'll
Yeah.
dry up and blow away. What are you doing? You're already so good. And I'm thinking to myself, I really wasn't doing that much. I mean, I would walk like to and from the train station, but I wasn't like just lifting weights and just doing all this stuff, chronic cardio and things like that to stay thin. It wasn't like that at all. But then I knew people who worked their butts off. They worked out, they did all this stuff, and they ate what they thought was healthy, and they just couldn't, it didn't help them. And those were the kind of people, and I felt bad. I didn't want to tell them, well, y'all, I'm not really doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I didn't want to say, no, I'm not. Or yeah, I am. I didn't really want to, I didn't know what to say. I thought they were being nice, but it was awkward.
But it's unwarranted. Like the whole time I was skinny, I would eat like a grown man, you know. I mean, I
Mhm.
ate so much food, it was ridiculous. And there were women back then that would tell me, "Oh, honey, that's going to catch up with you one of these days." And I was like,
Oh, I've heard people,
"No,
not to
it's
me, but I've heard
fine.
them
Like
women, them
I
old
eat like
women.
this all the time, you
Yep.
know." And it did. It just took a long time.
Hey, Brenda. I think a couple of things. I think your original question is different than what we're talking about now, but that's okay. Um, to just piggyback on what Carrie was saying, we are ketogenic people are pigeonholed as a weight loss program, not a total health and wellness program. When you talk about keto or keto anything, the first thing people says, "Oh, I don't need to lose any weight," or "I
Mhm.
tried that, I didn't lose any." I mean, people have no idea about all the things that we know about ketogenic life, whether it's infertility, dementia, skin,
Mhm.
disorders. I mean, just we could go on and on and on about
Mhm.
the total health and wellness that ketogenic living brings to us. So I understand completely when you tell somebody, hey, you know, I'm going, keto on whatever level that may be, because to me, we're all keto. I've talked about this a million times. I hate all the labels, the dirty this and dirty that and all that. I'm about carb numbers. If you are prioritizing your proteins and fats and you're minimizing and managing your carbs, you're keto. If your carb number is 0, your carb number is 10, your carb number is 30, we're all the same family here. I mean,
Mhm.
to me, there's so little difference between my plate at 10 and somebody's plate at 0. It's not even worth talking about. It's like I have salsa in my ground beef and you don't have it in yours. Who cares? I mean, to me,
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I'm not, no disrespect to anybody. I understand there are people who are very strict in that. God bless. I have no axe to grind with anybody. I don't want any internet beef. No pun intended.
Mhm.
Internet beef. That sounds good.
Yeah, right.
Oh wait, no, sorry.
Yeah, you know what? It's sour.
Yeah, I think we definitely shouldn't fight amongst ourselves in the
No,
ketogenic
absolutely, man.
carnivore,
I don't care
ketovore community.
if your number is 0, God bless you. Thank gosh
Yeah.
you found the truth. You found it. You're in it. If your number is 500, God bless you. Come on in. Let's get that number down. Let's help you with that. That's my philosophy, and that's my brand of keto evangelism.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's just me. But
Preach
We
it,
all got
pastor, preach
fatty
it.
meat in common.
Tell
yeah,
us about the
hey, listen,
ketogenic life.
listen, I can preach now. If you haven't been on my channel,
I have.
And that's
I
why we
know
love
that.
you, Russ. You're
You
so
know the reverend. Well,
open
not
minded.
everybody loves me. Okay, let's get that. Let's get that straight.
I do.
Well, thank you, Al. I appreciate it. I love you back. But
I
there are a
love
lot of
you.
people who I get a lot of criticism on my channel.
Me
A lot of
too.
I get a
Me too.
lot of criticism because I'm not very strict and I'm
Thanks.
unapologetically me. This is life. This is my life. I'm sharing my life with people. So my life sometimes includes White Castles. Okay,
Ooh, White
sometimes,
Castle.
Wait, what do you mean by White Castles? Like an actual castle? That's what?
It's
Oh
fast
my
food,
God,
baby.
Nicole.
It's
I've
In
never
square
had a
burgers.
White
In
Castle.
Bougie, Virginia, they
They're
don't
square
have
burgers like
White
crystals.
Castle.
Oh, I've never been to a
yeah,
castle either, so I wasn't
yeah,
sure what you were
yeah.
talking about.
Well,
Hey,
and so I get grief because I'm more not as strict as other people. I think it's all important, but there's levels to this, man. I
Yeah.
still look like the before and after picture. Okay, I'm not worried about autophagy and all that stuff right now, man. I'm just trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
It's
sometimes it's hard to do that, you
like,
know?
yeah,
Sometimes it's
I,
hard
man.
just to make it through the day without having to
I
worry
hope
about all the rest of it.
I hope someday I get to the point where I can worry about that kind of stuff. I mean, I hope to one day get there. But like I said, I'm still in the struggle every day. I'm still, you're talking to a guy that used to eat between 600 and 1,000 carbs a day. My number now is 10 to 15. Are you kidding me? You think I'm going to be complaining about
That's
that?
beautiful. That's
Nicole,
beautiful.
give
I'm
us
not,
a
Oh,
I'm not,
clap.
I'm not, okay. Well, thank you. But I've talked about this before. You guys all know me, but I'm not comparing myself to where I want to be. I'm comparing to myself to from where I've been.
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, you're not going to get me riled up about, oh, you're still eating black pepper and you're still eating this
Oh.
and that. Are you kidding me, man? I'm just like, dude, I did the math on this. I eat less carbs in a year now than I ate in any given 2 weeks in my former life.
Wow.
Beautiful.
But think about this. I eat 100 carbs a week. And, on average, that's 52 weeks a year. That's 5,200, carbs. Add another 1,000 for holidays and, whatever,
Yeah.
just throughout the year.
Sure.
That's
And we
six
have to
months.
remember that the dose
Yeah.
determines the poison, you
Yeah,
know?
and so you're talking about 6,000 carbs a year that in my new life versus, what I used to eat 500 to 600 carbs a day in my old life. I used to drink 300 carbs a day in my old life. So it's like, man, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Yeah, I'm not gonna come. I'm still in the euphoria of not. Look, I don't mean to dominate, but sometimes you gotta get to preaching here. I don't know what the number is, but when you've been, certainly for me, when you've been north of 500 pounds, you get to a point in your life where you just want to stop gaining weight. I don't give a damn about losing weight. I just want to stop gaining it. And, I'm down almost 50 pounds now. I'm living my best life, all that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm
You're
still in
welcome.
that euphoria. I'm still in that place. I'm still in the place that I'm excited that I am not gaining weight anymore. So I don't know when that wears off. I'm sure there'll come a day when it's old hat. And, I'm like, oh, that's old news. I'm not gaining weight anymore. But I have not gotten out of that yet. I'm 6 months in and I'm still super, super duper excited every month when I look at the scale that I'm not gaining weight. So, again, I don't know what comes next. And I'm excited for what comes next. But man, we have we can't forget. Some of us have been doing this, I think, so long that we forget what we used to be.
Yeah.
We can be judgmental and we can be kind of maybe a little preachy and stuff with people who have fears or have apprehensions or concerns or who stumble and this and that. Man, I ain't been in it that long. I remember how scared I was to try this. I remember the thoughts I had about dying of heart attacks and strokes. And I remember how absolutely crazy I thought this life was before I got into it. I haven't forgotten. So when I run into those people, I hit the brakes. I take it easy on them and try to, work them through it and meet them where they are, because I remember how crazy I thought it was, and I remember how difficult it
Yeah.
was for me. I'm not that far down the road that I can't see back, to where I used to be. And I'm done preaching. I'm done.
I agree, and I don't ever want to forget the way I felt before. I may just get mad every day that I'm not losing enough weight, and nothing's happening quick enough for me, and that's just human nature. But I don't ever want to forget that long list that I got online and read a couple of different times, and people were just like, "How are you?" Sean says, "How are you even functioning in life?" It's because I have forgotten a lot of that now. I mean, when you don't have to live with those constant symptoms and that constant feeling like garbage, you don't realize. You don't remember. You think, oh, well, maybe I could just add a little this back or add a little that back. And I need to stay the course right now. And I mean, I'm not dogmatic about any of it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. You. I got to do what's good for me, and I'm trying to figure that out right now. So, but it really, the keto police and the carnivore police, though,
Yeah.
it really gets on my nerves. Seriously,
I
we're
don't
all
want to
grown
criticize people.
people.
I don't want to criticize people that have a different opinion. I just want to provide
No,
people.
but if they're pushing it on you, that's.
I'll give an example. And this is, again, I have no, I understand everybody has a different way and all that. I can't say that enough because I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing people or judging people, whatever. I take from people what I think I can use in my life and I leave the rest alone. And I encourage everybody to do that, no matter where you're at. But I see this all the time on stream. Somebody sent in a stream on a chat I was looking at. I'm so sick and tired of meat. I can't eat another bite of meat. I don't know what to do. And, the person was like, well, you just got to challenge yourself and you just got to push through and you just got to overcome that thing and just fast until you're hungry. If meat doesn't look good to you, you're just not hungry enough. So I swear to you, you just got to fast until you're hungry. And when you're hungry enough, that meat will look good.
That's not empathetic at all.
That
is just
again, and that's okay. Listen, don't want to
don't like it.
if there are people who that will work for.
Yeah.
Now
I just have to add to that.
I don't think this. I'm just quick. I'm wrapping up. I don't think that's most people, and it certainly isn't me. I say eat a salad. I mean, okay. There's no carnivore police is going to kick in your door and smack the lettuce out of your hand and haul you away to carnivore jail. I mean, eat a salad. It's not a big deal. Get back on it later. So that's a person I think who may have just forgotten. They've been doing it so long, that they've forgotten where they've come from. They've forgotten what they were. And tell somebody, well, starve yourself until you're hungry for meat. I mean, that's crazy to me, but that's the answer. And so that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about in terms of trying to help people get there. And go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
You're good. I wish that someone would knock down my door and knock something out of my hand. That'd be awesome.
I don't think anybody's knocking anything in Nicole's hands.
I want them to be a firefighter. I just have this image in my head. So I just want to piggyback on what you said about fasting until you're hungry and that comment that was made, because I do see and I understand people mean well, so I'm not knocking anyone at all. I'm just saying this so to put the understanding and the education out there, because there's a couple things that drive me crazy when I listen to panels and people are asking YouTubers health questions, right? So that's number one, right? It's like me going on Facebook and I see comments like, I have this rash. Can anyone tell me what this is? I'm like, go to the doctor. I'm asking Facebook. That's the same thing that's happening with YouTube, right?
I've been guilty of that.
Ellie, go to the doctor. So I say that because I see the same three comments, and one of them is what Russ mentioned. So I see increase your fat, use electrolytes, and fast. Now, those are three pieces of advice that are common and that everyone says. And I'm going to say this for the millionth time, and the first time I'm piggybacking on Russ. So there's problems with adding too much fat. You will be running to the bathroom, among other things, vomiting. There are a lot of side effects to excess fat. There are a lot of side effects to excess electrolytes. You don't need to supplement or do anything crazy or extreme unless you're experiencing certain symptoms. And I don't recommend just, hey, I have a cramp, let me increase my magnesium or potassium or whatever. Like, get lab work done and see exactly what's going on, because if you overconsume something, that will also give you issues. And then to piggyback off what Rhett says about the, fast until you crave meat, there's multiple problems with that. First off, and I lump everything into emotional eating because it's all the same thing: sugar addiction, carb addiction, you're stress eating, you're boredom eating, you're eating when you're happy. It doesn't matter. I just lump it all in the same bucket because your body responds the same way, right? So the main problem with giving advice like that, and that drives me crazy, and people don't realize because they just don't know, and they're just trying to help. But the problem with giving advice like that is because if you are so metabolically damaged and you have been eating an extremely high carb diet for most of your life, you're signaling your hormones, your physiology is going to be a hot mess dumpster fire. So you are not going to be able to rely on your natural hunger cues because you don't have natural hunger cues at that point. So you have to heal before you can eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. Your gauge is going to be jacked. So your body needs to heal before you can completely trust in your body's signaling and what your body's telling you. So that's my main problem. That's my main beef with that statement, is because that advice is given, but the problem is that person that is receiving the advice is not able to follow that advice because their signaling is not on point. Their signaling is based off of all the years of eating like garbage and not meat. It's going to take months, maybe longer, depending on how damaged they are, for them to be able to trust their signaling. So it's going to be on meal timing, like eating. It's like setting times for yourself and eating or whatever you have to do. But that's my main beef, and I wanted to piggyback on Russ because I have been seeing that a lot, and that advice is flawed and can do more damage to the person than they even realize, because again, they're trying to help, but it's not helping.
And that's the main reason that I wanted to start this, book club, is for myself, but then also to have some buddies to do it with, to actually, instead of just listening and just being like a, um, what's the word? Anyway, instead of just repeating the same ideas that we hear from these doctors and stuff over and over and over, um, it's crazy. We need to actually learn why this is, because if we don't know, then we can't even apply it to ourselves. Like, what I've learned is that I think that my leptin is absolutely shot. I don't know when I'm satiated because I've never known. And, the whole ghrelin and leptin thing. And, we could get into that, but that's not really where we're at in this book yet. Um, but, I just would like to know the science behind this stuff, so that we can actually speak in a meaningful way and not just regurgitate this echo chamber of, low carb ideas.
I love that. But if you've seen my channel and you watch my channel, I'm way too dumb for all of that.
No,
Okay.
you're
No, you're
not.
I've got 7 good working brain cells. Okay. And they're all doing
Russ, don't play.
Russ,
Don't play.
Holy
We don't believe it.
Okay, I'm lying. I got 9. I got 9.
There
Okay,
you go.
I've got 9.
Positivity.
But,
Fess up.
and listen, I'm for that. I love that, Kim. You should do that. You would get no complaint out of me. I just want to keep my carbs low, my proteins and fats high. I want to keep the main thing, and I want to help people do that. And then they can go deeper as they want to go deeper. If they want to learn all those big $10 words and all this kind of stuff, God bless it. I'm, in my little world of evangelism, I just want to meet people where they are. I want to show them my life and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. It may work for you. It may not. I certainly think it will. And here's other people that are doing it a little different. You can watch and learn from them, and just create that community and let people find their way. If we build a city, you can live on whatever street you want in that city, but it's a beautiful city. It's a wonderful city. And we're all, we all share the same values, and that is, high protein, high fat, low carb, whatever that means to you. And, to talk about something like that Nicole was saying, I do think that people mean well, but what I really believe is that people want to cling to something so desperately. So, when that person is trying to help that person, it's like, oh, I'm a carnivore. I can't advocate anything that's plant-based. I can't tell you to eat a tomato. I can't tell you to have some guacamole. I'm a carnivore. You're gonna starve yourself until you're ready for meat and fat.
Sean,
What is it? What is it?
strawberries and whipped cream. Sean,
I love it.
And like I said, I think that's where it comes from. It's like, now I'm gonna shake the internet up here. I'm gonna rattle the whole internet here.
Rattle it.
I consider myself a carnivore. I 75. Yeah, 75% to 80% of everything that passes my lips is animal based.
that could be taken multiple different ways, Russ.
But I've got news for you.
Sorry.
In the circles I run, and I love my carnivore family, I'm not. You know what? You had some vegetables. I mean, I don't even know where the boundaries are. I don't even know where the limits are. If I eat
Nobody does.
There aren't any.
if I eat one salad a week, if I have one salad a week with my steak and my lamb and my am I carnivore? Oh, you're dirty. You're so dirty. That's
Yeah.
ketovore. That's a. I don't. I just you know what I'm saying. So again, I like to keep the main thing the main thing. I don't think that it's important. I would love to see the science. I don't think metabolically there's any difference between somebody that eats 0 carbs a day and somebody that eats 12 carbs a day.
I
I
can
would
tell you
love,
why some people narrow it down though. Like
yeah,
for example, I was low carb and then keto for 7 years. And then what happened, I stumbled into carnivore
yeah,
and like my anxiety just like I was
yeah.
like, it's gone. And so just that
But
little
hold on,
bit of
Carrie.
I wasn't even eating that many veg.
But
And
hold
it was
on,
just
Carrie.
weird.
But hold on, Carrie. Hold on, Carrie.
Yeah. It was just
What is that?
weird.
What does that mean? I was keto. Tell me because again, that means a lot of things. Were you eating
Oh,
keto
okay. I'll tell
cake
you, I
and
ate
keto muffins and keto
no,
chocolates? Or were
no,
you?
no, 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 no. This
Okay.
was mostly meat already, and I had um, my two most common vegetables actually were cauliflower and broccoli with cheese sauce or butter on them.
Okay. Yeah,
And once in a blue moon, I would try to eat a salad, but they screwed up my stomach too bad.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
for whatever reason, and I would have, well, cheese is technically carnivore, but
yeah.
so anyway, when I went carnivore and didn't really realize I was because I was given these boxes of meat, and I was just eating on them so they wouldn't go to waste, and they
Yeah.
were really good. I found out that I was carnivore, and it was like, wow, okay. But then I started noticing things that I never noticed before, like I wasn't
Yeah.
anxious anymore. If I
Yeah.
had to give a presentation at work or talk on a Zoom call or
Yeah.
just whatever, I wasn't nervous about that. If a bad situation came up, and Lord, I've had several in the last 6 months, for example, I was calmer about it. And so I have recognized a difference
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I was not intending like, oh, well, I'm gonna go carnivore and I'm gonna be strict and I'm pretty consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do not like, for example, I know that when Thanksgiving comes, I'm gonna have mashed potatoes and we'll have some sweet
Ooh,
potatoes.
are you kidding me? I'm jumping headfirst into them. You better believe it.
Now,
But I
no
do.
bread. I won't do bread because bread or pasta or anything like that because
Yeah.
it will just mess me up too bad. But and once in a while, I will just plan for it. I will just say, and I know too
Yeah.
from last year that those foods did not affect me negatively either.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome for you, and I'm so happy and glad, and I think it's wonderful that you identified those things. And I always say, and I'm the first to say, I am so fortunate and so blessed that I only had one issue, and that was being heavy. I've never spent a night in the hospital. I've never taken a medication other than antibiotic. I never had aches or pains or sleeping problems or anything. Never had any. I was just so heavy that I could not support my weight. I couldn't stand long enough to shave. I couldn't take my trash there. That was it. That was my only health problem, was just being heavy. And it's crazy when I think about it, that I thought that the reason I didn't have any other health problems was because of all the fruits and vegetables and grains that I was eating. That was what I thought. I'm like, thank God for this fruit and this oatmeal and this granola and this broccoli, because man, if I didn't eat that, I'd probably be dead. I mean, because again, at 500 pounds, my A1C is 5. My fasting glucose is 96. I mean, it's like I don't have any of those things. So I hear you, and I see you, and I know there's millions of people like you that have issues where 20 carbs a day, especially if they're the wrong carbs, really turns them upside down. I understand there's people out there that when they go to a restaurant, they have to ask, Is this made with the seed oil? Is this made, because it turns their world upside down when they get a little bit of that. I'm so fortunate that that is not my struggle. That is not my
Yep.
mountain to climb. And so, yeah, I can be a little more loosey goosey. I don't, don't get me wrong. I care about those things. I don't bring them into my house if I can help it. But when
Right.
I go out to a restaurant, I don't ask them what it's cooked in. I don't ask that kind of stuff. But yeah, I read labels when I go to the grocery store, and if I see the seed oils and things, I put it back or whatever. But I don't go to that extra mile. But if you need to do it, you have to. Let me tell you, the beauty, in my opinion, of our lifestyle and the way we live is how easily and how it is to customize it to your own taste, your own health issues. That is what makes our way of living so different. If you get on Weight Watchers or if you get on Nutrisystem or some of these other programs,
Ooh,
you
been there.
have to do what they tell you. You got to eat this at this time of day, and you got to eat that little kitty TV dinner at that time of day. You have to count these points, and you have to this and that. And with our way of living, man, we've got a wide spectrum, and we've got so much. And to pigeon that off to say, no, it's just meat and water. I mean, that's just not a message that I think the masses of people are going to, be able to accept and or stick to. And so I prefer to have the big tent, to share my numbers with people, tell them how important it is to keep those numbers as low as possible, and then let people find where they are, where they have their optimum health within that range once they have that ketogenic knowledge. That's just my view.
If I could
And
share.
we're all at different places on the spectrum too. Sorry, go ahead, Ellie.
Oh, thanks. This is actually something I'm really glad you brought this up because I've only really shared my struggle. So I am carnivore. Maybe I have like 3 carbs a day if I eat cheese. Oh, who cares, right? But it's like, but it was something so it's been about 6 months for me and I've seen great change in my life. I talk about that on my YouTube channel and I love, because of it, I get to meet all you guys. That's my favorite part. But I was really struggling with that dogmatic mentality. I felt like I had to be it was different from like calorie counting where I had to be perfect and I would beat myself up and everything like that. With this in turn, I was eating the food and I was feeling good, so it was like all positive. But I felt like I could never stray off of it. Like the idea, and like the holidays are coming closer and closer, and it's like I wonder to myself, like, am I gonna want to like eat mom's stuffing? Am I gonna want to eat like rolls? Like, will I be able to handle it? Because I'm an emotional eater. That's everyone's different, but like that's something that I've pinpointed for myself, that I tie my emotions to food. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because I think a lot of us are pretending like we're not super strict, and we're putting so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect all the time, especially since I have a YouTube channel. Like I want to have transparency. I don't want anyone to ever think like that I do no wrong because I lost this many inches this month and I lost this much weight, because I've had consistent weight loss and my body's changed completely, which I'm not like bragging or anything like that, but that is my truth. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because I feel like some of us are silently like wanting to be more like that, but we're afraid of going
Hey,
backwards.
listen, let me tell you, it's not easy.
It's hard.
It's not easy. Listen, I didn't wait until I lost 300 pounds to come on the internet and look at me. I came on at 500 plus and said, hey, I think I found the key for the first time in my life. I think I'm in control of this thing and I want to share it. And this is how I'm doing it because this is the only way I can do it sustainably. And I know that if I'd have tried to, I say it all the time, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I don't need to push myself and challenge myself. I don't need hell week. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy trying to get healthier. And it's like, if I were to torture myself and kill myself and push myself, could I have lost more weight? Probably. But I also might not even be doing it anymore because I may have tortured myself and beat myself up to where I just say the heck with it. So it was more important to me to put together a lifestyle that I could do until I'm dead than to lose a bunch of weight real fast and then try to figure it out. You know, that's just, again, that's the way I chose to approach it, because you guys know Carnivore Cure, Todd Botnis. That guy's lost 300 pounds twice, man. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine the torture of losing 300 pounds, gaining it back, doing it again, gaining it back. I can't imagine that. So for me, I'd rather lose 50 pounds, and keep it off than to lose 300 pounds and then gain 250 back. Again, that's just the way I've chosen to do it. So for me, the most important thing was not how much weight I could lose, not how many carbs I could. It was, how long can I do this? And I know that what I'm doing, the way I'm doing, I can do the rest of my life. I know it.
I feel the same way.
Whether I lose 50
Same.
pounds, 100 pounds, or 400 pounds, whether it takes me 2 years, 5 years, I could care less. I'm perfectly happy to lose this weight the same way I gained it.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work for everybody, and I get that. But it's also equally important, in my opinion, to show the world the range, the scope, the spectrum. And you, as a person who's watching us maybe for the first time, you don't know me from a can of paint, or you're watching any of these other people, man, I kind of like what he's saying. Or you may look at somebody else and say, no, that won't work for me. Russ is crazy. Let me do what Carnivore Trucker says, or let me find. I don't care where you hear the message from. The message is 1,000 times more important than any messenger. Find your lane. Find where you're comfortable. Find what you can sustain. Get in with a group or community that you feel comfortable with, that you see eye to eye, and get on that road with them and stay on it.
And that's the difference too of us showing what we're doing as we go, and we're not at that perfect place yet, versus the people who solve their problem and get to looking perfect, and then they come online and show you befores and afters. Like, you're seeing what I'm doing as I'm going. You're seeing me mess up. You're seeing, and I'm going to be telling more about, like, this is what I did and I'm not proud of it, kind of thing. I don't want to ever put it out there that I've just had like this perfect journey and it's wonderful, because, right now I'm feeling excellent health wise, and all of my pains and aches and symptoms of pretty much anything are gone, but I'm struggling with weight loss.
I think it's important. Sis, let me just interject quickly something you said. You're not proud of it. Don't be ashamed of it either. It just is what it is. It's life. This is what our lives are. Our lives are made up of peaks and valleys, of highs and lows. So okay, I ate some pizza. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it either. It's life. And that's why I don't use the words cheating. I don't use the words. I don't use that language. That's negative connotation to me.
Yep.
I don't cheat. I live my life. I have my normal routine, what I normally do 90% of the time. And then I have my 10% of things I do 10% of the time on vacation or on a holiday, or when somebody drops by the house with a pizza, or whatever the case may be. That's not my normal life. When my nieces are here and they bake cookies or whatever, that's like 3 days a year. I spend on average 325 days a year or more at home.
Yeah.
Okay, let's face it, 365 days in a year. You take a couple weeks vacation, a weekend trip here or there, you're away from home probably 30 days a year on average. I mean, Carnivore Trucker's a little different. Probably he's on the road more so. Yeah. But for an average person, you're home 300 days plus a year.
For me, I think I just wanted to say real quick, I think for me, it's like I struggle with the perfectionism, because I remember where I was and I'm just like so desperate not to get back there again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have, and I don't want to have the boils anymore. I don't want to have the depersonalization disorder, and I don't want to, feel ugly next to like my husband who's really like has a good body, and it's like all these things like stack up on each other. And so like I think that I like what you're saying, and I'm really like soaking it in, and I'm trying to
let me tell you this, sis. Let me tell you this, and you gotta believe.
Lay it on me.
No. I just keep it real. Tell me. 100% real all the time. You gotta believe this, and you gotta know this. You could never, ever go back to your old life. because you know too much. You had those problems years ago, and listen, I got this size on ignorance and a little bit of silliness. I mean, okay, I gotta take. Listen, I talk about it, man. I was a happy big guy into my 40s. I was that dude. I was Big Daddy, Papi Grande, baby, come rub my belly. Okay, I was that dude. I had no problem with women. I had no problem with social life. I mean, I had a lot going for me, and I was big dog, big. Come on in, big guy, hang out with us. I was on the corporate softball team. I had that on the back of my surfer, big dog on the back of my jersey. I mean, I embraced that being a big guy, and it wasn't until I was in my 40s and I injured myself and that spiral started spiraling down that I realized, man, I gotta do something. And then I started doing what I thought I should, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I spent years killing myself to lose weight, doing the things I thought I was supposed to do. It was getting worse and worse and worse. And here's the difference now. I know now what to do. I didn't know what I didn't know then. I didn't understand metabolic health in my body and how my body works and how we metabolize it. I didn't understand any of that stuff. Now I do. So I could never go back to my old life because I just know too much. And you have to believe that. Now, listen, that doesn't mean I don't live in the old neighborhood, but I do still drive through there and see some of the old homies.
Hey.
Sean's got to pop off.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay, yeah. So we'll probably need to close this pretty soon. We've been on here almost 2 hours, so
yeah,
I just want to
too much.
Thank you,
end
guys.
it pretty soon. But
see ya, Sean. I'll try to pop in your chat.
Okay.
See you, Sean.
But
Have
it
a
was
good
good
stream.
meeting y'all.
But I love what everyone has said so far. I really appreciate you all participating. And is there anything else that anyone wants to say before we leave? And also, we could go around and just shout out your channel. That way everybody in the chat knows. I changed everybody's name so it says you're on YouTube. But just tell everybody, a little blurb about yourself, maybe 30 seconds. Robert, you want to start?
Oh, I'm just me. That's it.
Robert Bubba Baker is my carnivore brother. He's got a great channel. Go check him out at Robert Bubba Baker. Has a few underscores in there.
And every once in a while, I'll put an advisory sticker on my thumbnail, so something good's coming.
Okay.
He doesn't hold back.
No, I don't.
Hey, love it. Me either.
Carrie?
Okay. Well, my name is Carrie. My channel is My Metamorphosis. Most of my content is just about observations about being carnivore. I've actually been low carb since 2015. I'm also trying to spread the word that eating this way helps with mental health issues, specifically anxiety. And I just really want to get the word out. But I also do little inspirational things. Like today, some people were probably shooting me birds when they saw what I posted this morning as a little post. But I got to see the sunrise. I got to take my morning walk and see the sunrise. And I hadn't been able to do that in a while. But because the time changed and I was able to get my walk in early enough, I could see it. And it was wonderful to see. And I was just saying, grow where you're planted. My dream is to live in the country, but I'm not there, but I can appreciate what's around me, that kind of thing. But so sometimes it's little inspirational things like that. And sometimes it relates to carnivore. I guess the morning walks kind of do. But anyway, just come check me out. I also will offer any encouragement I can give you. I will answer any questions I can. And if I do not know the answers, I will be happy to direct them to someone who would. Like, for example, if it's a nutritionist question, it will go to Coach Nicole.
Nicole.
Okay, Russ, you want to go?
Oh, okay, I was gonna say that sounds like a perfect segue for Nicole.
Yeah, I want to talk in return. And I need to talk to you for a second after the stream, Kim, too, by the way. But
okay, am I in trouble?
What'd you do?
I don't know. I don't know. Good trouble. Good trouble. No, but
Do you need a ride? Do you need Kim to drive you somewhere?
yeah, yeah. I need a ride. Come to
Since you've been behind that bar.
Hey, listen, man. You guys, if you don't know who I am, Russ Mitchell, Homesick Buckeye. I'm just come to my channel for ridiculousness, hijinks, and tomfoolery. I just try to make people laugh and smile. That's mostly what my site is about. But I do share my life with people, and I'm the world's foremost expert on my opinion. So I will happily give it to you, whether you ask me or not a lot of times. But I love the keto community. I love the keto family. I love keto life. It's done a lot for me. I believe it can do a lot for everybody. I want the world to know about it. So I'm a keto evangelist, and my brand is through humor and that kind of stuff. But there's so many other wonderful people in the space. I love them all, and you should listen to them all. Take what you can, what will help you in your life, and let the things go that can't. And that's about it.
Okay, Nicole.
Hi. So I'm Nicole. I'm a former fatty, a former fat girl, turned certified nutrition coach, and I'm living and promoting the low carb lifestyle. That's my intro to my videos. But yeah, I am certified educated in nutrition and emotional eating psychology. So I do a lot of reaction videos for educational and entertaining purposes. And I also promote the concept of food freedom and try to sprinkle in some emotional eating education in there as well. So yeah, so if that sounds interesting to you, I'd appreciate the sub and the support.
Okay.
It's me. It's my turn.
Yeah, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Ellie, and I have a channel called Nourishment Redacted, and I woke up one day learning about keto and then later carnivore, and my life has changed forever with weight loss, mental health, spiritual health, just everything going up. I was able to become a mom, and that to me has given me the most purpose in life, being a mom and being a wife. And so I want to encourage people to come to my channel if you need um, someone who can be your friend to show you that you can change your life. You can do better if you not do better, but you can feel better if you take your nutrition and your life in your own hands. And I'm very passionate about children's health and being a mom. And so just from my regular videos about my weight loss and mental and spiritual health, I have 2 live streams that I co-host. I have Lioness Lifestyle Live, which focuses on women's health, and I have another one called Mother Knows Best, where I invite carnivore moms and other experts to talk about children's health in the family. And so that's it.
Okay, so
That's
I guess
it.
I'm the only one left. So my name is Kim, or Nurse Kim, on YouTube. Um, I am a nurse, however, I'm not your nurse. And anything I say is my opinion. It's not anything. I mean, it may be based in some stuff I've learned in nursing, but I like to go beyond that. Like, I think we need to improve what we're teaching to patients. So I would like to help people in a way on YouTube that I've never been able to help them in person. I have helped a lot of people, but not in this particular way. So I would like to help them avoid getting their legs amputated and avoid losing their eyesight, and just various things that I've seen people for over the years. But anyway, my channel is Nurse Kim. It's at Nurse Kimberly Lane. And basically, you can come there and just see a lot of hijinks and tomfoolery, and a few Sam's Club trips, and just whatever, a few lives here and there. But I would be glad to have you if you want to come over and check us out.
So when are we meeting again? When is the
So what we'll do is, this was chapters 1 and 2. I think I'm going to try to outline next time a little bit better. This is my first time doing this. So next time I'm going to kind of have a little outline of the headings. That way we can flow a little bit better. But we'll do, what do y'all think? Chapters, let me look at the, hold on one second.
I promise I'll have the book by then.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Right,
I'm illiterate.
So
Don't
I
let her
almost
kid you.
think,
She's got the cliff notes.
so the book is divided into parts and it has chapters within those parts. So part 1 was chapters 1 and 2. Part 2 is chapters 3, 4, and 5. How about we do that for next Sunday? 3,
3,
4, and
4, and
5.
5.
Yeah. And that
Sounds
way
good to
it'll
me.
kind of, well, yeah, because I mean, we have to get through this. We can't just, and we're not going to be talking about each individual point, but that'll allow us to get some reading under our belts and not have to break it up so much. Because sometimes when you read too far on, it's hard not to, but then when you read too far on, it's hard to kind of focus on just the parts that you're going to discuss in the group. So, sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so next Sunday at 5 p.m., and I will try to have the link out a little bit earlier so there's not a lot of confusion. And that's all I have, really. Anybody got anything else?
Thank you for leading this and putting this together, Kim. I
You're
know it's a lot of
welcome.
work, so thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much. And
Yep,
thanks for
thank
inviting
you.
me.
Awesome. Well, thank you
I
for coming because
wasn't invited. I crashed, and thank you for not
no,
kicking me out.
no.
Kicking me
You
out.
were tagged and invited twice. Okay,
Ooh.
I
I never
invited
got any
you.
I
Yep.
I swear I never got it. I just
You
saw
look
it
at your
live
look
on
in
the-
YouTube under your mentions. You'll see it.
Oh yeah, I don't look at that.
Yeah, Dr. Tony Hampton was invited. I invited
Chapter 4.
Chapter
The
4.
exercise myth.
I invited just
Oh.
about everybody that I could think of.
Well, I take it
And
back.
then
then.
some that,
apologize.
I'm sure I probably left a lot out, but I just went down the carnivore list and tried to
So are you
add
going to
everybody.
post the link on the community tab? Because I don't really check that. So is that where
Well,
you're going to
you'll
post
have
it?
to check my community tab but I'll at you, okay? So that'll lead you to it. All right. You should get a notification saying you've been added. I'm gonna at you, Nicole.
Added.
I'm gonna say a bunch of stuff about you.
Okay,
Added.
okay, go ahead. I'm not. Well, I'll talk after the stream. I don't.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, just know that it's next Sunday at 5:00, and we can be here, and hopefully we can like do it in a little bit less time because I think 2 hours is a lot on Sunday evenings for people. But it's the first time. It's gonna be a little bit rough. All right.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Good to see you. See you all
Yep.
next week.
Okay.
Bye
We
bye,
will see you
everybody.
guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. In stream.
So